The Wife, starring Glenn Close. She's being tipped for an Oscar. We thought we'd go and see it because we are actually fans of Glenn Close. Directed by Björn Runge, also starring Jonathan Pryce, and it's about a major, successful literary author played by Jonathan Pryce, and his name is Professor Joe Castleman. And it's about him winning the Nobel Prize for Literature.
So Glenn Close is a brilliant actress, as is Jonathan Pryce, and you know, right from the first 2 minutes of the film.
Well, actually, the first moment in the film was quite unpleasant.
The most disgusting sex scene. Mark went, "Good job we didn't bring Muddy." But anyway, so we get past the sex scene, and then he is told that he's won the Nobel Peace Prize.
What did you think of the sex scene, Mum?
Well, I thought it was awful, and I thought of you two.
Why?
Well, they won't like it at all.
Because she thinks we're prudes.
Yeah, apparently we're prudes because we don't like wanderlust.
I think it was gratuitous sex. It was gratuitous sex.
Yes.
We are just going to have them having sex now. They're an older couple, and we're just going to do it. And you know, the rest of the film wasn't like that. Just stuck out like a sore thumb.
It was a mistake. It was a big mistake.
But so straight after that, we see him win the Nobel Peace Prize
and
Nobel Literary Prize.
Nobel Literary Prize. And then in that first phone call, we're right off on Glenn Close's magnificent performance.
Yeah.
Because just her listening to that call should be a study for any actor.
From the get-go, she is presented. It's called The Wife. So from the get-go, this is about a woman who, as she says in the trailer, I am a kingmaker. She is the woman behind the man. What's that wonderful song by Annie Lennox? Behind every strong man.
Because we're coming out of the kitchen. Because we got something we want to say to you. Sisters are doing it for themselves.
Not to themselves. They're not to themselves.
2 feet and banging on their own bells.
They're not doing it to themselves.
Anyway, so from the outset of the film, there is a tension is created. A tension is created between her being a sort of supportive and devoted wife, and what the boundary is between supporting, devoted, and basically propping up this man's talent at this point in the film. We feel
very well.
And I think it did a very good job to begin with. If you're thinking, I thought it made me think of a number of relationships I know in real life of a certain generation, and it made me think, if you look at a marriage as a sort of business proposition, there is the propping up and the supporting, and the pair of them actually pulling together in very different ways to ensure that whatever it means that they had to live the life that they it's teamwork. Yeah, and a marriage is like that. It's teamwork. And I thought it was quite well drawn. I liked the sort of...
It was well written, that bit, I thought.
It was well written, and it really focused on the incidental details of relationship.
And that's what I did love. If you're in a relationship, look for the similarities, not the differences, because I think anybody, yes, they're a white, wealthy, middle-class family, but I think in there are similarities for any relationship. So that was interesting, and Jonathan Pryce was very good. But the problem with it for me, right at the beginning, was that he repulsed me. So I felt like I was in a horrible marriage.
Well, that must be because of that first scene. Because
it wasn't just that. Every single word he said, I could smell him, his eyebrows, his beard, the bits of food in his beard.
Well, there were those incidental details where she said your breath smells, which I thought was quite.
Everything. His breath.
No, that was very clever though. It made you. It did alienate him from
the way he ate. Oh, I know I'm eating too much fat. Everything about him was utterly repulsive, and I felt suffocated. And interestingly, when I came out of the film, and I thought I hate that film, but as I've thought about it overnight, and that's why it's good sometimes to do the review the next day, I actually do think that maybe that was something about the film that was really good, is that as a woman, I felt like I was in her life.
Oh, okay.
What did you think of Jonathan Pryce?
I thought he was brilliant. And
Well,
I didn't feel all those things that Nadia's just described at all. I mean, I wasn't revolted or put off by him at all. I thought he was playing the little boy.
I know what you're saying. You're saying that he played the little boy that most grown men
do. So the wife becomes a mother, in effect.
Yeah. Well, and of course he arrives in Stockholm, and really the rest of the film, I was quite impressed by how the film really keeps itself constrained to approximately 48 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there are flashbacks, but it's the 48 hours of him flying out to Stockholm, preparing to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature, and basically the unraveling of their creative and emotional relationship as a journalist or a biographer, hack biographer as he calls himself, in the form of Christian Slater, is a sort of like a buzzing bee of annoyance for them, because clearly he's on the edges and has been on the fringe of them.
He's got a nose for a story, and his nose is
and
twitching.
he senses there's a story that perhaps the Jonathan Pryce's author isn't all he seems to be.
Yeah, I can't remember how far far into the film we started to go to the flashbacks? Can you guys?
Well, I thought they should have come in sooner.
So
I
it-
found
I
the
thought they were
first
too
40
late.
minutes almost intolerably
Yeah, you
boring.
hated it, didn't you?
Yeah, like if I'd been in the theatre, I would have been hoping for the interval, so I
Yeah.
got a gin and tonic and got out.
Yeah.
But I did get more interest in the segment, and actually overnight I've thought about it more. It was flawed. There was something wrong with the pace. There was something wrong with the direction of it. It's just,
I think
and
there
the
was something
son
wrong with
wasn't
the
a good actor. For me, he wasn't good in the role, and he
Who?
brought it down. Whoever it was that played the son.
Max Irons.
He's the
So-
son of Jeremy Irons.
Oh, is he?
And an interesting note as well, Mum, that you observed was the fact that the woman who plays the young Glenn Close, is also Glenn Close's daughter. Which
Wow!
is remarkable.
Oh my God, she does look like
Yeah.
she's so beautiful.
She
Isn't that
is.
interesting? So he's Jeremy Irons' son, and he was playing the son of a
Yes.
incredibly successful man,
Yeah.
where he was
Yeah.
where he was in his shadow.
But I thought that even that was interesting, because what we were put in the privileged position of knowing at a certain point in the film was that this boy was seeking confirmation of his creativity from his father, who was completely the wrong person to be seeking the confirmation from. That must have been very hard for her to play, because I was judging her as a mum there. I was thinking, come on, where's your gumption for your son?
But
He's
Glenn
killing-
Close's mother did praise his work, didn't she?
Oh,
But he wasn't
absolutely.
interested.
He wasn't
because
interested. He
as far
wanted
as
it
he
for-
was concerned,
Well, for
she
me,
wasn't a
that was a really poignant moment
Yeah.
all the way
Yes.
through,
Yeah.
because it was like she said, "This is a beautiful piece of writing," and then when she was saying that to Jonathan Pryce's character, I thought, oh my God, never mind everything else she's had to suppress. She needs to support her son. And actually, I got
Yes.
quite cross with her as a
So
mother.
did I.
Oh, for
So
God's
did I.
sake, pull yourself together and tell him to bog off and save your son.
We're given a clue right at the beginning in one of the scenes where they're all meeting up. Most boring scenes you can possibly imagine. That he's had bypasses. He's not.
yeah.
I mean, we know that. We know
Yeah.
he's not sort of
Well.
well.
But
And
yet
so-
he selfishly drinks wine the whole time.
He
and
does,
eats
but
fatty food.
Would people find him attractive? Who would have all these extramarital affairs he's
I'm
had?
sorry, nobody could find him
Oh,
attractive.
women find power attractive
Well-
always.
Oh, okay.
And I think that he was very, I mean, you probably have to cut this out, but I thought he was very loosely based on Philip Roth.
Oh.
And people can say, well, who would find any? I mean, he is.
I mean, he's unattractive, he's smelly, he's sort of, but he...
There'll always
it's the
be somebody
But
who-
it's that notion of creativity as well. You
Yeah,
think he's a creative
absolutely.
genius.
He's like
Teacher.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah,
Like
he
fat.
is actually.
He's
Just
like a fat Jeremy
you
Corbyn.
Can't say that.
I know he was like a fat Jeremy.
He was like a fat Jeremy Corbyn.
But you've already
described him as repulsive.
So you're saying Jeremy Corbyn's
I'm talking
repulsive?
about the character.
No, I'm
Yeah.
turning into Andrew Marr here. Are we saying, Nadia Sawalha off the telly, that Jeremy Corbyn is repulsive?
I
He's
think
a
she
fat,
was.
deeply unattractive man. There is nothing wrong with saying he's unattractive.
What did we think of Christian Slater's character?
Yeah.
Because I think there was a
I
problem
liked him,
there.
but I
I think
thought-
there was
I
a problem
thought
with
there
how
was
he
a
was
problem.
introduced.
Yeah,
I thought it was
on
weak.
the plane.
You
on
made
the
it
plane.
no,
It's
on
like
the plane.
an
But
narrator
Nadia,
in
you
a
made a really
panto.
interesting observation. Yeah, what was that?
Well, it was a bit like a narrator in a panto.
Yeah.
All that character in EastEnders or
Yes.
Corrie has to come into the pub
Yeah, that's what
and
you said. I thought it was
explain
very-
the whole story.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually
and
very
so
true.
it was just,
yeah.
and so I thought it was a bit of a
He was
lazy.
there. He was there explicating,
I
wasn't
thought
he?
it was a
Yeah.
lazy. I thought it was a lazy device by the writer.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
I agree.
with
I thought the film itself was really, really average, but I thought Glenn Close's performance
was
allowed
beyond
us to bring a
average,
hell of a lot more to it.
Yeah,
and as you rightly said, without Glenn Close, it would be nothing. What's your summary and your score?
Well, strangely, my score is 2.
Oh.
And yet I would say that Glenn Close should be nominated for an Oscar, because I thought it was a phenomenal performance, and it fascinates me because, she grew up in a cult, she's had 3 marriages, and that, anyone that wants to be an actor, that study, we knew she was drawing on stuff that she'd really experienced. So that kept me fascinated and locked in.
Okay.
So if you want to see that, go and see it. But if you're seeing it for any other reason, spend your money somewhere else.
It's an odd one. I am drawn to films where the performances sit centre stage, but when I go to the cinema, I expect performances to sit centre stage and cinema to sit centre stage. Call me old-fashioned. And I kind of knew this wasn't going to, and it delivered on that. It could have been a TV drama, it could have been a Netflix thing, but not even shot as well. It would have been a brilliant play, actually. You're right.
Yeah.
Glenn Close, I thought, was superlative. I thought she was absolutely brilliant. I thought everything about her performance was layered. I was bringing so much to every single shot of her. I could have sat with just the locked off shots of her as she was listening to stuff more than actually seeing the drama around her. And like you say, for any actress or actor, a top draw lesson in how to perform without delivering a single line.
Well, how to inhabit.
I thought as a film it was beyond average. I did like Jonathan Pryce, and I think Jonathan Pryce pulled off that tricky thing of being unlikable.
The unenviable.
Yeah, and I think he worked his sort of reverse charm on you, and he intended to. So I thought he was good. But I was bored, and I thought it was clunky narratively, and I'd give it 3 out of 10.
I mean, her performance is astonishing, but it stands or fails on her performance. There's nothing in the writing, direction, story, and I mean, I'm speaking as a librarian here who should and is very interested in these things, to keep your attention. And in that sense, I would give it, I wouldn't go as low as 2, would I? I'd give it a 4.
There you go.
It's one of them.
For more film and family fun, don't forget to click the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell to never miss an update.